Rough night trying to get started. I keep getting interrupted by all kinds of stuff. So, I added a few things to my menus. There's some new confirm menus you'll see as I'm navigating through menus. I made an exit game confirm menu. A couple other small details. I added a health bar to NPCs. You'll see that when I'm flying around. But right now, I think my challenge for today is to work on tables for my surfaces, and this has required some brainstorming. So I've got this chunk of script from one of my older projects that I want to use. It's basically checking the map. I'm going to do a different variable here that's going to check the map that we're looking at. It's going to loop through surface maps. There's some stuff that I'm going to do to determine what's what. That's going to look a little complicated, but it'll all be internal systems that make sense as I go along. But the first thing I want to do is break down the process that I'm trying to build here, the system that I'm trying to build here. I'm not even 100% sure if this is going to work or if this is what I want it to do, but I know that I'm going to need, first of all, a map loop that stores the initial state of map. So this will be when you first launch the game, load the game, start a new game. It's going to create a series of tables for the surface maps. This is going to be part of the initial loading process, I believe. I want to create tables that store where the resources are located on a map, and all the surface maps will be the same size. So eventually they're going to be, I think, something about 80 by 80. They might be 100 by 100. They're not going to be huge, but they're not going to be super tiny, and it's going to be just enough to fit in some, obstacles, various hazards and whatnot. And what I needed to do is store where all the resources are, because there's a few things that I have to do. I've just split my resources up into separate tiles, or tile sets. So I first need to make a little list here. Split resource types into tile sets. Desert resources, terrestrial resources, volcanic. Because each terrain type, each planet type has a different set of resources. I can make one big giant tile set of all the different terrain that I'm going to have in the game, probably, with all the grass and all the sand and snow. But then on certain planets there are tile sets that I need to be separate, like resource tiles, which right now they're just set to I think it's a tile set called resources over here. Yeah, just a tile set called resources, and I can draw with these on any of my maps. But you'll see that if I draw with I haven't actually put the sand resources in, but there's a resource that terraforms to grass and a resource that terraforms to sand. There's going to be one that goes to volcanic ash and all that. I need them to be on different tile sets in order to do what I'm going to be doing, because I want to check specific tile sets or use specific tile sets for specific planets. And this is going to get complicated for me. Just thinking about it is already complicated, because I need to store a collection that contains information, because rather than it would be easy enough to store information in a map variable, except depending on what you're doing, map variables do reset when you do a new game or a load game operation, so they'll get reset. So I can't store certain things in map variables, but I can use map variables as a default set of values. I can store information about each map in those variables, and then I need a collection of all the maps and the tables that I'm storing their information in, because I don't want to create 100 different tables I just want one. I want one big table that stores all the information that I need. And in order to do that, I need to know what Z layer each map has stored its information on. So I need to connect a Z layer to each map. But I'll have to go through every single one of these. If I could probably manually specify which Z layer each map gets stored on within their actor variables, but it would start to get really confusing after a while to try and keep track of that. Like, which map did I set to Z layer 116? So I would like to create a system that manually numbers each map as it's saving them and then stores their tile locations in a table. So all of that's confusing and probably doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but let me start by creating a new table by clicking this add button, add to tables button. And I've created a table called save data maps, and it's empty. It's going to be empty as heck right now for now. Now I can go back into my save game. I'm going to use this map store event here for now, just because. And the first thing that it's going to do is create the size. I'm just going to resize the table, but instead of map ID, I'm just going to change it to save data maps. So it's going to change save data maps to the size of one of the land maps, which in the case of my previous project, the one that I copied this over from, it's storing the map that the player's on. That's not what I want. I just want it to be the same size as all my maps. And right now, they're 50 by 50. And the Z layer right now, I don't know how many maps I'm going to have. So at the moment, I only think I have 4. Desert, ice, lava, land. There's a radiated one, so I guess I have 5. So let's call that 5, not 6. 5. And I gotta think about this for a minute. There's a loop here that goes through this entire table, and it's going to store all of the cells, or all the tiles in each cell of the table. So I want to change that. I don't have any XYZ variables, so let's go in here to local X, Y, and Z. So this will just give me coordinates within the table as it's looping through the table. Oops. Yeah. As it's looping through the table, it'll store its position in these 3 variables. So when it's moving through the X axis, it'll be going across. When it's moving through the Y, it'll be going up and down, and when it's moving through the Z axis, it'll be going through each page or layer, basically. And then inside this, I've got it checking all the different layers of a map, which this is not what I want to do. I just want to check the lower tiles, which or floor tiles, not lower tiles. I just want to check floor tiles right now. And I want this to be map ID. I'll make a new variable here called tile grab. Tile grab will store the tile on the map. This will be map ID. And then change this to data maps. So there's a few things I'm going to have to edit here and change and explain and blah blah blah. First, I gotta figure out a way to distinguish my surface maps from any other map in the game. So there's space maps, and then there's surface maps. And none of these have a distinguisher of any kind, but what I could do is give each one a variable here. Map type. We'll call it surface. I could do something with the names and just check the names, but this will do. Just adding a map type variable. This will be space. Well, I don't want to rename maps right now because I have a whole bunch of stuff connected to the names, like positioning things and moving things around. So I'm just going to do this other system here. Map type surface. And I can just check this variable when I'm doing a map loop. So oh yeah. This isn't super exciting, but it is necessary. Okay, so I've got map type surface in all of these. And then over here, I've got two other maps that I'll call map type system. And these are maps that you don't explore or the player will never be on. Can't type tonight. So I'll call those system maps. And the first thing I want to do is test my map store script. Now, I don't even think I need to do a full table loop. I do need to do a I got to think about it for a minute. Because I do need it to loop through every element of the table and put information into it, and then go to the next layer of the table. Well, let me do some experimenting here. So, did I just crash my program? Sure as heck did. I don't think it saved any of that. Okay, well, I'll save some of it. Now, what I want to do first is a map loop, because this is going to go through... Actually, I don't even think I want to do a map loop. But I do. Yes, I do. Call it checked map. I want to do some testing here. Multi-comparison branch, actually. First I want to use a multi-comparison branch. Check the map variable of checked map called map type. And then I've got surface, space, and system, and this last one will connect to the same one. And for each map that it goes through, I want it to store that map in a table. So I don't want to store space maps. Let me put space and system first. Surface last. So it'll do nothing for the first two. I'm going to use a log message just to say skipping non-surface map. Just to make sure that it's doing that. And then here I'll tell it to say storing surface map. And actually, let's do it like this. Storing space ampersand. And that way it will say the map ID here. Here, storing whatever map. I'll just put that there. It's not going to do anything yet. The problem with using a table loop is that it will go through the z-axis, and I don't want it to go through the z-axis. I just want it to go through the x and y. Let's continue from a save where there's nobody to shoot me. And oh, I forgot to set up my tester button. So get rid of this little log message here and plop this in here. I actually don't need that parameter here. Let's kill that for now. Then I have to go update the event. If you make any changes to the way the parameters work, you have to refresh it. So I'll put that there. I just want to test it, make sure that it goes in and loops through the maps. It tells me that it's skipping over any maps that are not surface maps. So it does that loop, skipping non-surface maps, storing radius, storing. And it'll do that every time. However, now it's got all of these maps loaded. There we go. So that's not too bad. Why does it show me the X and Y? Oh, okay. That's why. I have two sets of controls. connected. Okay, so that tells me that it's working as far as looping through the maps and checking that variable. Now, go back in here. I'll just cut this and bring this inside the map loop. I'm not going to use a table loop because that'll go through all the axes of the table. And so what I want it to do is for each map extend the size. So let me grab this. We want it to always be the size of those maps. But currently they're 50 by 50, and then the Z size will be the table Z size, not field Z size, table Z size. And that would be axis 3. And we'll say +1. So if it's 0, it'll resize it to 1. If it's 1, it'll resize it to 2, and so forth. So we want to put that at the very beginning. So every time it goes through to loop through that table, or loop through the maps in the game, it'll resize it +1 after it stores one of these maps. So if it's a surface map, it will take this path here. And we want to do two things. So this is where it's going to get complicated for my brain. I have to think about how to scan through the entire map and check the tile. Now normally I would use a single table with 3 layers to check the lower, or the floor, the lower, and the upper tiles on a map. So that would use the X, Y, and Z quite nicely. So I don't think I can do it that way. It's been a while since I've done this particular type of save system. So let me try fill table. I do want it to start at the current size of the table. So the size of axis 3 +1. I think I can use fill table. I can't remember if it goes up and down or what, but I don't think it matters. Oh, but this doesn't use variables as it loops through. No, I can't use that. Okay. Let's start with a table axis loop. I need a loop inside a loop. Basically, I have to loop through each row and column. So table axis loop will give me the value that's held in a table currently, which isn't what I really want, but I do just want it to loop through the table. And then I want another table axis loop. Oh, I should be doing this backwards. The first one should be the Y. Oops. So it should be going down each row and then going across. So I want it to start with the Y. Oops, I always do that, and then go through the X axis. what I'm going to end up doing is editing the element of the table wherever we are inside the loop. I might have to do some variable initializing here. It's been a long time since I've worked with nested loops like this. So we'll set each of these initially to be 1. Oops, not Y. And that way I can use variables for the position inside the table loop. So this will just be X, Y, and Z for now. We'll set that to X, Y, Z. Copy this. Oop. Checked map, I mean. Okay, so this is going to pull in the currently checked map. The map that's, as the map loop goes, it's going to change this value to each map's ID. And I just want to get the tile name for the floor tile that is located at the position in the table. So that'll be X, Y, Z. Now, it's been forever since I've done this. I can't remember if I have to increment those values as it goes through each loop here, because it's going to loop through the y-axis. So it's going to start at the top left corner of my table, and it's going to go into the x-axis and start looping across the row there. So it'll just do one row. And let me think. I do think I have to increase the variables. Once it's done with a row, it should add 1. And do the same for x inside itself, x plus 1. God knows if I remember how to do this right. It's been a while. Just want to make sure that I do this right. I think so, yeah. So I don't even need to use a tile grab variable. A lot of this is me experimenting. Part of the joys. It might have been 6 or 7 years since I built a system like this. And for all I know, there's a better way to do it. Alright. So now I have this big ol' table. Full of nothing. But the size is correct. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 maps, so it's resized to 8. But I don't want it to do that for every single map, so something's goofy here. It's increasing the size. Oh yeah, I want it to only do it if it's a surface map, so I'll put that here. So it should only be 5, a Z5. And now to double check, I think all of my tiles are correctly labeled. It should store information. First thing I wanted to do, leave. No. Don't want it to do that. Oh. Dropping stuff. Alright, it should only be 5. It is correctly storing tile names here, looks like. So that's a start. It's not working correctly. Because I'm doing something wrong. Obviously. So go back in here. For every map, it goes through a table axis loop. And every time it finishes a Y, I don't remember the order that I have to do any of this in. I might be able to use a table loop and just start on the next Z layer. This is all not very explanatory for anybody. What? Yeah, that's not what I wanted. Okay, let me pretend that I'm using a table loop. So every time the table loop runs, it's going to start looping from the top of the table, so Z layer 1, and it'll loop all the way through each one, which isn't quite what I want it to do. Let me see. Let me see if I can get it to just place the tiles on each. I don't even know. I want it to go through each row or each layer of the table and store each map on a different Z layer as it goes through. Oh yeah. I forgot to change a variable. This is trying to check map ID. I want it to check current or checked map. And this was tile grab. Actually, alright, fire. Boy, that takes a second because it's storing everything. So the fact that it took a second, I knew it was kind of working. So you can see that it stored all of that desert, the snow map, did it actually store everything? Got meteor, copper ore. Okay, so that worked better than I thought. That will give me an initial layout, basically. Gives me a table full of the initial state of surface maps. So now I don't know what's going on. Hello? There we go. Was just trying to catch up, I guess. Okay, so that was giving me the state of all my maps. It'll give me a table. I want to do that at the beginning to get a table of how all the maps are originally set up. I want that to say farm map table. Builds the surface map save table. Okay, I can delete that. So this will go through and store the floor tiles, and the floor tiles are going to be my resource tiles. And the second thing that I want to do is store the tile set as well. I need to make a collection, and the collection is going to be map ID, the main tile set ID, which will be, you know, desert tiles, terrain tiles for the different biomes. And I'll also need the Z layer. I need to know what Z layer is being stored for each map. So let me create a new collection. I'll just call it surface maps for now. It's going to be empty. Come back in here. And for each map that it goes through, it's got to do that. It's got to store some information. So I want to add to a collection. I want to add the information to surface maps. And the first thing I want to add is the map ID. So that will be element number 1, saving maps. And then we'll combine that with a semicolon and the Z layer that we're currently on. Let me actually start that here. Actually, I'm not even sure. That's what I want to save. I want to save the current size of the table as the axis because when it's Z layer size is 1, then the first map that's being saved is Z layer 1. Once Z is Z2, the second map is being saved. So I just want to test that, see what my collection looks like, make sure it matches the table for each map that's being saved. desert, ice, land, lava, radiated. Desert 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And over here I have the desert. You can see it's covered in sand. Ice is second, it's all snow. Then we have the land map, which has forests and water. Then the volcanic, or lava, and then radiated. So it stores the map names, and then it stores which table has their information on it. So that, I think I would have to run that at the very beginning of the game and store all the surface maps and their current information, because everything from loading will come from the state of those maps later on in the game. So when you reload a fresh map, or when you reload a game from the start, it'll give you this default table, but when you load a game from a save game, it'll refresh. It actually loads the state of the tables and the collection. So everything that you've changed in these will be loaded with a save game. So, like, what I want out of that is to be able to go through whenever the maps are loaded. I want their tiles to be replaced by what is stored in the table. So if you make a change on the map, it's going to edit the cell on the table, and then it will save that. So this is a tricky process. I will end up having to compare this. This is where it gets confusing. So when you reload a game, the map itself, the map returns to default state with all of its tile positions, everything placed the way that you did in the editor. And so what this is, the table, when loading, check the current state of the map against any changes in the table. So anything that you've done before saving the game, like when you mine resources, it's going to change a cell in the table. So when the game is loaded, the table is going to be different than what is going to show on the map. And so what I want that to do is use the saved table to update the current map tile. So it's only going to be checking for certain tiles as it loops through the table and then replacing a couple of them. So if you've removed a resource, it's just going to draw a grass tile. The other thing that I'll have to do is check the tile sets. The main tile set will be checked, I think, from the top left corner tile. So let's change this to 1, 1. And what I want this to do, map, check map, get tile set. I want to store the tile set, the main tile set that's being used on the map. So I'm going to add that in here with another semicolon. So now my collection will have the map name, the save table axis, and then the main tile set. So it'll store these three things in a collection, so whenever I'm reloading a map, I can actually just check these values. Which tile set am I going to use? Which table am I checking, or which Z level, or Z layer of the table am I checking, and what the map ID is. So then I can match everything, make sure everything matches, and get rid of that. The reload system is going to be tricky. I might stop with the save system tonight and work on the reload system next time. We'll see how I feel here in just a little bit. So you save the maps, everything is saved. We have this giant table. And then over here it's not doing anything. It didn't add the tile set. So, why? Every map has a floor tile in the top corner. So let's see. Everything was correct. Checked map, get a floor tile, or get the tile set. See if it'll just grab it from 3232, which would be around here. Why? I don't understand. Why is it not getting the tile set name? Oh, I didn't add it. Huh. Okay. Let's try that one more time. It's important that I'm able to get the tile set of each map. That way I can replace the resource tiles with the right ground tiles that I need. And it's still not working. That's weird. Reconnect my log message here because I don't know why that's not working. all the tile sets automatically have names when you name the tile set. So it's not returning any tile set. So those are checking lower tiles. It's not getting any information at all. It should be telling me the tile set name. So I'm a little bit annoyed. It's not. That's so obnoxious. It's checking the Z level or Z layer. It's possible I don't understand. Let's try raising that up to 32. So it's checking a Z layer higher. Oh, it's actually checking 32. I think it's 32 pixels that's checking, which would be the second Z layer. Oh, this is driving me crazy. Why? Oh my God. Okay, so that's working for some reason. Let's try that again. Set that to 16, 16, 0. I just needed to check the top left corner. The top left corner is always going to be part of the tile set that I want to check. Hook it back up to my test event. I don't understand why. I have no idea. Oh, what in the world? Let's put those before the table loop. There is a chance that I just give up and come back to this problem later. That is very likely. I would really like to get it working before I totally surrender. It's not storing any of my tile sets. I don't understand why. That's going to make this really tricky. I don't know why I can't get the tile set. It should. It works if I directly refer to the name of the map that I want to get the tile set for. And if that doesn't work, I'll have to do something stupid and put variables in all of the maps for the tile set types, and that's also annoying. That's probably something I'll have to do to fix it, but I'm going to have to reorganize these tile sets so that they're separated into snow and terrestrial and whatnot. At the very least, I did get it to functionally store the state of my maps. And that's the start. That's the start that I needed. That was probably boring to watch, but at least it's currently storing each of my maps. It's storing what axis of the table that they're being stored in. and it's holding all that information here for me. I don't know why it's not saving the tile set. That's super obnoxious, I have no idea. That's some kind of bug. It should be passing the name of the maps into that variable. No idea. So I'm gonna pause on that one to think about it for a day or two and come back to it maybe tomorrow night or some such. But hopefully this was sort of useful. So if you ever wanted to save all of the data in a table, like the tiles of every map in the game, you can use this little system that I made here. You basically just create a table loop, and inside that table loop have it store each tile's ID. So I'll have to do some experimenting. I might be able to get it to store tile set somehow, but I'll come back to that problem another time. I'm going to call it a night for now. When you get a chance, go to screamingbrainstudios.com. I have all kinds of free public domain stuff for you guys. It's all game development related. It's all totally free. You can use it however you want. There are sprites and textures and interface graphics, tile sets, all kinds of things. If you want to add more to the packs, if you want to make your own, I've got some tutorials on old school graphic techniques. A lot of these are for expanding the existing asset packs or to just learn how to do your own graphics. And if you don't have any programs to do those with, here's a whole bunch of free ones. I've compiled a list of useful tools that I have in my own library. If you feel inclined, you can subscribe to my Patreon for just $1. There's behind-the-scenes posts, special thanks credit, and all the asset packs. You get a special thanks on the home page, and there's something like 1,000 free assets that I've included. They're unreleased stuff from the Screaming Brain Studios archive. Anyway, I'll be back in a couple days with some more streams, and hopefully I've figured out that issue by then. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.